What's up, guys? We are back with another NECA Toys TMNT Toon 2-pack. So this is, of course, the Target exclusive line. And I think this is going to be the last one for a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of a lull between the next one. So we're taking a look at the third 2-pack. That's it, right? The third one. Recently, we have got the April and the Foot Soldier. This is the Bashed Foot Soldier. So the latest 2-pack, we finally get our cartoon April O'Neil. So we got him here in the standard Toon 2-pack format. Figure there in the window. You got April and the Foot Soldier, and then you've got some artwork on the sides that showcase each figure. Then you've got April on her side, a product shot, and then you've got a Foot Soldier product shot on his side. And then the back of the box has got the product shots for the figure, a little bit of a write-up for the TMNT, and then cross-sell for the current wave, as well as the upcoming restock of Bebop and Rocksteady. So yeah, let's do it. Let's yank them out and take a look. And here they are out of the package. So we've got our April O'Neil and our Foot Soldier, and this one is an interesting 2-pack because there has been a lot of chatter ever since the first showing of April. She's always had some criticism about her sizing, her shape, and there has definitely been some change between when this figure was first shown and the final release. And there's definitely some odd stuff going on with her. The Foot Soldier is the Foot Soldier. He just happens to be bashed. So we're going to take a look at him first to get that one out of the way, and then we're going to come back to April. So as usual, let's see how this guy moves around first. He is exactly the same as every other Foot Soldier, so there's not going to be any surprises here. You've got a head that can move up and down because it's got a ball peg there. Really good range of motion as usual, side to side. Full rotation, but of course rotation is doing that because of how he's oriented, but that's fine. Arms go out at the shoulder. They go out about that far, and then they rotate in there as well. You've got your bicep swivel. We've got double jointed elbows, and then you've got hinges, and you've got rotation at the wrist. The hinges on my wrists are incredibly tight. They definitely need to be worked over with some heat again. We've got our waist twist. There's nothing as far as crunch or anything like that. These guys have never had that though, so nothing missing there. I don't know, they wouldn't have been able to add it here anyway. You've got legs that go out about that far. They kick forward. They do go backwards a little bit. Pretty good actually, and then you've got your thigh cut up there. We've got our double jointed knees. There is a shin swivel, and then you've got a ball peg down at the ankle, so he kicks forward, backward, then a little bit of rock side to side, and then of course full rotation, and then you've got your toe articulation as well. So standard stuff, nothing too crazy. The only real maybe issue on my figure is that his wrists are really tight, but that's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. He moves exactly how I would have expected for a Foot Soldier from NECA. And in that regard, he is very much the exact same thing we're used to when it comes to aesthetics, except for, well, the gaping hole in his chest. So, you know, you've got the very cel-shaded look. You've got the darker purple and the lighter purple to kind of give that delineation of shadow when it comes to these figures. It's a very specific look that I really do like with these guys. The line work on them is really nice. You've got the black lines that kind of accentuate the wrinkles in the fabric when it comes to the purple, and then you've got the the shell armor on his wrist there, which all looks really good. This guy is, of course, very much the same thing we've seen time and time again. Not in the sense that that's a negative, just in the sense that that is what it is. And I'm a big sucker for these Foot Soldiers, so I mean, this guy makes, I think, my 12th Toon Foot Soldier. I think this makes a dozen for me now because I've got so many of the regular ones plus the slashed one, and then we've got this one, and I have got 2 slashed ones now. So this guy makes for an army that I never have truly displayed either. So he is just adding to ranks that I don't necessarily know what to do with, but I love the way this guy looks. I love everything NECA does when it comes to the Foot Soldiers. For, you know, a standard kind of grunt figure, they really do a good job of selling that cartoon look. And then when it comes to the new aspect of this figure, so you've got the big gaping hole in this guy's chest, so there's kind of like his reactor inside there, and you do have a little bit of a bendy wire here that sticks out. You can't really do a great deal with it, but you can move it around just to change him up slightly if maybe you get another one down the road. So you've got kind of like the armature that's inside there, a broken wire that's in there, and just a little bit more to accentuate the fact that this guy is a robot and differentiate him from the slashed version, while of course differentiating both of them from the regular one, so you have your battle damaged foot and your regular ones if you've got a big battle going on. So I really do like the idea of what they're doing here because they have released the regular Foot Soldier so many times at this point. It's a good way to get him out there again while still making him something that I would still want because he is very much different when you line him up next to a non-damaged Foot Soldier. Now, as far as our gutsy news gal, April O'Neil, she moves, I mean, kind of exactly how I expect, but at the same time, not, if that makes any sense. So we've got a head that can not really look up, just a little bit maybe, but she can look down really good, although she is so short I don't know what she's going to be looking at. tilt side to side and then rotation. The arms go out at the shoulders really well. You can rotate in there. Now she does have a double jointed elbow, but it's the weird NECA double joint, and honestly, I think it's really ugly here. I do not like it aesthetically. Functionally, it does work. I mean, that's a really good bend for a female figure, so I'm happy with how it works, but I just don't like the way it looks here. That's just personal preference, obviously. I'm sure there's something they could have done differently, but at the same time, they did make it work really, really well, and of course, there are no pins, so I guess it's a take it or leave it kind of situation. You've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. We've got a diaphragm cut, so she goes all the way around. Pretty good. I mean, I don't have any issues there. She does have a really tiny waist, which does help with that, I think. Legs go out. You've got a double ball peg, so it's a barbell situation in there, which I really do like the fact that they're doing that now. She kicks forward. There is a rubbery piece at her waist crotch area, so that does help. Not much on the back kick. There is a thigh cut there. Well, a little bit of a thigh swivel, I should say. And then you've got your double jointed knees, which are pretty good. And then we've got our rocker, and you've got hinges down at those ankles. So she moves, I mean, I guess she moves exactly how I expected her to, really, with maybe a few little oddities, especially when it comes to those elbows. I don't like the way they look, but I can't deny the fact that they work really, really well. I mean, they do exactly what they're supposed to. Her head could stand to use a little upward kick because, again, she is really short, so there's not a whole lot that she's going to be looking down on, but she does move pretty well. I don't know how dynamic she needs to be, but at the same time, there's nothing really restricting her either. Now, when it comes to the overall look and feel for this figure, that's ultimately where a lot of the criticism is, because there's a couple things that are going on with this figure that I think are just plain not right. It's kind of like a rare miss when it comes to this line for NECA. There is a lot of good stuff here, though, don't get me wrong. From the neck down, I think she looks pretty perfect. The jumpsuit is really well sculpted. The wrinkles are nicely done. The overall sizing of her body, at least proportionally, is really well done. I do think she is still too small overall, but we'll talk about that. The yellow is bright and vibrant. The line work that I honestly thought was going to be way too heavy-handed looks much better in person. And then you've got some of that darker, kind of almost yellow orange. It's not yellow, but it's not orange either. And then you've got that same color on the back as they kind of cut them down the middle for the shading, so she looks like she's kind of cast in shadow back there. You know, there's a lot of little things about this figure, like the white boots that are cut to be gray on the back for the shading. You've got her watch on the wrist and the white belt as well. Of course, the big thing about this figure, well, maybe not literally, is the head sculpt. And a lot of folks seem to think that the head sculpt is too big. I don't think it necessarily looks like the cartoon to start with, but I don't know that it's too big. I think the figure in general is too small. So I think that it's throwing things off a bit. If the figure was a little bit taller, and I have seen folks that have extended her legs at the boot area, and she looks much better. So I think she is too small, and I'll do a size comparison with a turtle here shortly, but she doesn't measure up. She should normally be over a head taller than the turtles, and that is definitely not the case here. I think she's just way too small for the character, so it makes her look like she has this massive head, when I suppose that is what's going on, but at the same time, I think it's just an illusion, really, is that she is too short for how big her head is, if that makes any sense. And then, of course, when it comes to the head, I mean, it's sculpted well and painted really well for what it is, but ultimately, I don't think it looks like the cartoon. I really don't think this is April. If you could call it a likeness, which, I mean, it's not a likeness because it's not a real person, but the design is not there for what April looks like in the cartoon. It's just not her. I don't see it, and it very much looks like some generic kind of female face, which again is kind of like a rare miss when it comes to this line for NECA. And like I mentioned, here she is with a couple other figures for a little bit of a size comparison. I'm not going to go all out with various lines because I just want to show you exactly how tall she is in comparison to other NECA figures. So here she is with Casey Jones, and Casey is a little bit taller than her, and this one's okay, that seems fine. But when you get her next to a turtle, like, this is not fine. This is not how she should be sized. She is definitely supposed to be taller, and while she is taller than Raph here, she's not tall enough, which again is why I think it's kind of throwing things off a little bit. It makes her head that is a little bit large look even bigger when it's on such a small body, when she should be, you know, maybe like up to here almost. She should probably be around Casey's height, maybe a little bit less when compared to these other figures. So I do think there is definitely a sizing issue going on here. I don't think I'm alone in that. But when you get her next to a turtle, it becomes really evident just how tiny this figure is. Now, as far as accessories goes, this set has a pretty decent spread. It's a lot of interesting stuff, really, because, you know, April doesn't have weaponry. She has news reporting equipment. So you've got a lot of dated news equipment, which I think is pretty cool in its own right. So to start with, we've got her camcorder. So it's got a bunch of little sculpted detail, tons of paint applications on it. There's really a lot going on here. I think this will be useful with a lot of figures, not just April. So that's really cool, very dated piece of equipment. We've got her audio recorder. So her portable audio recorder, you know, you've got a reel-to-reel tape deck there with the Channel 6 news mic. And then we've got a free news mic there with the Channel 6 logo on it. You've got her Turtle Com, which is, of course, like a makeup compact, and it is opening, so you've got a hinge on there, and there's a lot of little detail in this thing. So I'm really, really happy with this. That's really, really good as far as just getting a very specific accessory for April that is executed quite well. We do have a set of gripping hands for her as well. So you've got the relaxed hands on her in the package, and then you've got a couple of grips. And then we've got these two guys. So a couple, I don't know if they're deep cuts really. They're maybe off the beaten path unless you're truly familiar with turtles. So you've got the little pizza monster guy. So this is, of course, the Xenomorph reference in the show. And this guy looks really good. He looks like he jumped right out of the cartoon. I'm really happy with this little bugger. And then we've got the Maltese hamster from the episode, I think, of the same name, right? And it's just a little statue of a little rock hamster, but kind of a deep cut. This is definitely a little bit more obscure than the pizza monster, I think, anyway. And then as far as the foot soldier goes, I believe he has the same stuff that he came with as far as the Casey pack, at least for the most part. So you've got the communicator here, and this time we've got Bebop pictured in there, so that's the Bebop toy from NECA. You've got this gun with the the little kind of laser rifle barrel on the end, so very kind of classic looking laser ray gun. We've got this big guy here, which we've seen a lot in this line, so tons of figures so far. Maybe not tons, but a lot of figures have come with this one. And then you've got a series of extra hands, and then you've also got some Ninja Stars. These also came with the KC 2-pack. So we've got gripping hands. He's got fists in the box. You've got the flat palm, maybe karate chop style hands. And then you've got the style pose hands. So loose gripping, maybe fighting stance style of hands. So they do come with a lot of stuff. It's not a ton of weaponry like we see with all the other packs, but it's all very specific stuff. And April comes with a lot of unique things that we aren't ever going to see elsewhere. So yeah, overall, this is an interesting set. I would say that this, well, if I'm going to rank them, this is at the bottom of the list for me when it comes to the most recent entire wave of Turtle stuff. And it's not for any other reason than the fact that April is just kind of wonky in comparison to all the other figures. I really think it only comes down to the fact that she is too small. She definitely does seem to have a larger head. I mean, she has a big head of hair, but I think she looks like she has a big head because she has such a small body. She should not be this short. She is just an incredibly tiny action figure, which I think throws off her overall scale. Also, her face does not really look correct either. It doesn't really look like cartoon April. The overall package is really well stacked. I mean, she comes with a great deal of interesting accessories. The foot soldier comes with a bunch of stuff, and the foot is a great additional way to get another foot soldier. I'm still very much on board for more foot. Hopefully they do more of these. I don't need more foot soldiers, but I will definitely buy more if they can continue to do stuff like this with the variations on battle damage and stuff like that, because honestly, this is a really unique way to give us battle damage foot soldiers. The slashed one and the bashed one now are really cool ways to kind of bring those figures back. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys Cartoon April and Foot Soldier. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.